So, good morning, everyone. My goal is to come on every morning, Monday through Friday, to encourage, inspire, empower you to live your best life. And right now, I'm focusing on relationships. I'm focusing on relationships because when your relationships are going through a challenging time, you will see that it will affect every area of your life. Relationships are the cornerstone to everything we do, like the relationship that you're having with others. But I think the most important, the most valuable relationship is the one that you're having with yourself. And too often we don't give thought or attention to what is the real relationship we're having with ourselves. And so today I want to talk about vulnerability. Are you able to be vulnerable? What do you think when you even hear the word vulnerable? Recently, I was teaching at a school, and in my book, show you guys the book, The ABCs That Celebrate Me, one of the words talk about being vulnerable, and I can't remember which letter right now talks about being vulnerable. And one of the kids said, "I can't be vulnerable because then they'll use it against me." And sadly, that is what we think many times when we hear the word vulnerability. However, most of us truly desire intimacy in our friendships and our relationships. I have had too many conversations, particularly since I've been back in America, where people are really struggling to have true connection because we have here a lot of surface level conversations. Like we're all so very guarded. We're all trying to protect ourselves. No one wants to seem weak. No one wants to look like they don't have it all together. As a mindset coach yesterday, I was sharing with a friend that probably about the last week or so, I've been grinding, but I've been really struggling. Like I've been going through some stuff where I felt stuck, right? And I begin to apply all of the things I teach to get from being unstuck. But the lady I was talking to yesterday, she said, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting better." She says, "What? The mindset coach was stuck? I thought she was unstoppable." Well, unstoppable is a way of life. Unstoppable is it's transitional. Like all of us experience tough times in life. But here's the thing, when you know how to move and there you have a routine or you have something to help you get out of that stuck area, this is when you can move back into the unstoppable space. But we all, every one of us, have the ability to, like the song says, we all fall down. But the important thing is that we all get back up. And so today, when I want to share with you guys about relationships, I want to talk about vulnerability. Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to say things that make you uncomfortable or show who you really are? Because when we hide, we're also, and protect, we're also blocking out the opportunity for true intimacy. One of my favorite podcasts right now is Dear Future Wifey. I don't know if you guys have watched that. Let me know. Put a one in the chat. I mean, in the comments, if this is a show, a podcast that you watch. With his name is Latarius Whitfield. Really good podcast where he's always talking about relationships. But Latarius shares that the reason the audience began to really connect with him is because he got very vulnerable. He told his story of cheating on his wife and in the marriage, and now he's in search of a new wife, and but he wants to do it a different way. It was that vulnerability that caused his audience to grow, to make people feel connected to him. So vulnerability creates connection. It creates understanding when it's done well. So I want to give you three things to consider that could be stopping you from being vulnerable, and maybe be willing to open up to doing it a different way. And so, one of those things is you want to let go of the fear of judgment. And I know that's really hard, right? Because we are such a judgmental people and we worry so much about what other people think of us. But I want you to think of it this way: if you're being open and honest and true to yourself would lead you to a level of freedom, to connection that you truly desire, would you be willing to take the risk that maybe some people will judge you? But more importantly, think about the fact that, does their judgment matter? What can they really do to stop you or hinder what you're doing? The people that matter the most are the ones that you're in close contact with. So if you're in a relationship, if you're married or have a partner that really cares about you and you know they care about you, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, would it be worth you risking being vulnerable instead of always starting with contingency where again, you're in that mindset of I gotta be right and they're wrong, but you move into I'm afraid. Because a lot of times, particularly in relationships, when we are afraid, we get so defensive that we don't allow ourselves to just openly and honestly say, babe, what I'm feeling right now is fear. Like I'm afraid that you're not going to love me. I'm afraid that you don't see me. I'm afraid you don't value me. And so instead of being vulnerable enough to say that, which I know from personal experience, when you begin to talk like that, you shift the relationship. People will not fight you, not most people, when you are honest enough to simply say, I'm so afraid of losing you. Instead of arguing, why weren't you on time? Why do you always do this? It doesn't make sense. Like we go into defense mode thinking that we can change and shift a person if we scream loud enough, if we throw enough fits. But the truth of the matter is, if you really want to change their heart, speak your heart. If you want to help them hear what it is you want to say, be honest. Don't fight. Don't reflect. Don't defend. Just be honest that, listen, I'm simply afraid. Because a lot of times in marriages, in relationships, when we are fighting, when we're combative, there is a level of fear that's there. And I want you to learn to get to what that fear is. The other thing I want you to start doing to be more vulnerable in relationships is when it's time to have those hard conversations, get curious. Like, get curious about what your partner wants to say. Get curious about what you can learn about yourself or what you're willing to share about yourself instead of, again, being defensive, thinking that if the conversations are hard to hear, that you won't recover. You're a very strong person. Like, God created us to be amazing, resilient people. You can hear the hard thing and survive. So don't think because someone is saying the hard thing to you that you can't survive. You can. And I want you to really pour into that part of yourself where you can just relax a little bit in the tough conversation. Hear what the other person has to say. Hear from their heart, right? Don't hear just the words, but hear the connection. Hear that even though I have to tell you this really hard thing, you know, ultimately I love you. And so the reason I have to say this really challenging thing is because I want to take our relationship to the next level. And the last thing, show up. Like, show up fully you in the relationship. How often do we have to hide parts and pieces of ourselves to be in a relationship with people? I mean, definitely I've done that. I've been guilty of that. But a lot of times when I feel like I'm not being myself, I'm immediately going, hey, there's something here that doesn't feel safe for me. Can we talk about it? Some people don't like when I start talking like that. And I've learned that, like, I can make people uncomfortable because I don't know how to have surface level conversations. So, like, I've had people say to me, you always ask the really hard questions. I don't know that they're hard questions. It's just the way I'm wired to look for the deeper meaning. Something as simple as, like, most of the time when people go on vacation, most people talk about how was the vacation. I'm always curious to know, when you go away on vacation and you have a different experience, what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about God? And what did God show you that was different? Because I think time away from your regular life, God does different things in it. And so my mind always asks that question. For some people, that makes them extremely uncomfortable. For me, it's a level of, like, true connection, because when I'm away, I'm looking for what is it I can learn about me? What is it I can learn about God? What is it God is trying to show me? And so that level of, maybe some people, I think that's being vulnerable, but maybe to some people that's uncomfortable. But here's the thing, I'm just showing up fully me. And whether that's good or bad or accepted, it's okay. But I don't know how to be anyone else. And I think it's important that you learn to show up fully you. So I pray that you have an amazing day today. I pray that you open up and show somebody just a little part of yourself and be a little bit vulnerable enough where you can create true connection. and that you don't have to stay guarded. Listen, if you are in a relationship and you want to take that thing to another level, but however, I think it's important to train before you get in relationships. So I have the book called Think Your Way to a Better Marriage. Most people see this book and say, Kenisha, I'm not married. It doesn't matter. There was a time when you wasn't whatever your profession is, but you had to go to school and learn. So if you're interested in being married, if you want to be a wife, if you want to be a husband, I encourage you to start either getting this book or any book about relationships, because listen, don't wait until you get in it. Don't wait until things get bad to try to learn to be a better person, so that you can move out of what I call a me mindset in relationships to a we mindset. And that's what the book helps to do. I'm also offering a class on October the 6th on the topic. So go, there's a link somewhere around the video, and join the class. I can't wait to see you there. Have an amazing day. Be good to someone else. If you can't be good to yourself, certainly be good to someone else. And remember, it is your thoughts that is creating your decisions, and your decision that's creating your destiny. Have an amazing destiny.